pull up, you better call me. I'm coming out, just let them know that this ain't all me. I changed my ways, y'all better owe me. My message changed, now they don't know me. Better late than never. No more getting at these hoes, no more chasing cheddar. Thought I'd be known before my 30s, some shit take forever. No dollar bills, but got that manner, I could change the weather. I took the road, less travel, better late than never. Let me tell you what kind of man I become. They see your hustle and your struggle, they don't care where you from. These wicked serpents wanna know what I'm on. Build my name and legacy in Israel, then I'm gone. Too many rappers / actors been usurping the throne. We at the bottom, but you steady keeping up with the Jones. Had a homie like a brother, he got on and was gone. Heard he sold his soul doing shit that we don't condone. Probably can't look me in my eyes, much less pick up the phone. Heard he ain't looking out for fam, if that be true then he wrong. Jesus, Judas, Caesar, Brutus, I had 6, I had grown. There ain't no greater therapy than telling truth in a song. I ain't tripping, got my Akim, I'm where I belong. Stay in these scripts, mental calisthenics, gotta be strong. That daily bread, I gotta get it, homie, I can't pause. Found success not in the industry, but keeping these laws. Better late than never. No more getting at these hoes, no more chasing cheddar. Thought I'd be known before my 30s, some shit take forever. Dollar bills, but got that manner, I could change the weather.
Hey T, forget about these clowns, man.
I took the road, less travel, better late than never.
Look, it's a thin line between faith and folly. People say they keep it real, but I keep it godly. Shout out my squad, they forever solid. Been through ups and downs and they never change, so I know they got me. Them hard times getting harder, 24 years old and making room for my daughter. Showing her the lessons I acquired from time and teach her how to keep it G when the friends start to falter. Just keep an eye for your foes, the ones that hate to see you win but always calling you broke. Cause when them seasons start to change, yeah, them colors gon' show. You gotta change your frame of thought, cause where you focus, you'll grow. I pour a shot and then I drank it. They tried to shoot my boat but couldn't sink it. I meditate, it's clear I came a long way. And at the end, the only thing I can say is
better late than never.
Yash.
No more getting at these hoes, no more chasing cheddar. Thought I'd be known before my 30s, some shit take forever. No dollar bills, but got that manner, I could change the weather. Took the road, less travel, better late than never.
I remember when there was a time when all my stars aligned, but it still went wrong. Guess that was a sign. Guess it was perfect timing in the wrong span. Just couldn't accept that it wasn't God's plan. Have you ever been fiending, obsessing day and night over reaching the goals you always been dreaming, but ain't understanding the reason? Everybody else got their turn and you waiting on your season. I had to reassess, I had to reinvest. Yeah, I was stressing, obsessing about out here being next. But now I see the bigger picture cause my eyes open. Sat still in my prayer and heard that God has spoken. Don't be invested in the wrong things, cause baby boy, that ain't your calling. I found my calling in the Father and realized all I ever needed was this living water. Better late than never.
When you pull up, you better call me. I'm coming out, just let them know that this ain't all me. I changed my ways, y'all better owe me. My message changed, now they don't know me. Better late than never. No more getting at these hoes, no more chasing cheddar. Thought I'd be known before my 30s, some shit take forever. Dollar bills, but got that manner, I could change the weather. I took the road, less travel, better late than never. It's the first of the month. He got it poppin' at the feast. You know we gotta link up and celebrate the new moon. The vibe is better than the club. Shout out my sister called Judith. She got a strong right spirit. I'm sorry for your loved one.
Yeah. Let's get to the slide. Get to the slide. Slide on in. So what new year? Because it seems like the same season, different day to me. So now, nevertheless, everyone's counting it in. 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year! Woo! Everybody's excited. Everybody doing this. Watching the ball drop, feeling good, but yet and still outside, it's still looking like this. Still raining, pouring. Even then, some people still going through this. Yet and still, it's supposed to be a new year. But who lied? Who told you it was the new year? Let's get Job 9:24. Doing it at Job chapter 8 and verse 10, but let's get Job chapter 9 and verse 24.
Job chapter 9 and verse 24. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked.
It said the earth is given into whose hand?
The hand of the wicked.
The hand of the wicked. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. Read on.
He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he?
So it said, if not, where and who is he? All right, because we're going to find out that this wicked is dealing with Esau. He's the one who's covering the faces of the judges, hiding the identity of the true Israelite. Because we're supposed to be teaching righteousness in the world. That's not something that's on his agenda. All right? He does everything, bass backward, as others would say. So now let's get Job chapter 8 and verse 10.
Job chapter 8, verse 10. Shall not they teach thee and tell thee and utter words out of their heart?
So it says, shall they teach thee? Who's they? Making reference to that same white man, the same Esau, that aren't they going to be the ones teaching you? And as it says after that, it says uttering what?
And utter words out of their heart?
And utter words out of their heart, meaning their mind. And their mind being their own beliefs, their own ideology that has nothing to do with righteousness or with the Most High. That's what you're going to have. Now from there, let's get the book of Psalms, chapter 94 and verse 20. The book of Psalms, chapter 94 and verse 20.
Psalms chapter 94 and verse 20. Shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee, which frameth mischief by a law?
Right, because that shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee, meaning in a place to where knowing, as wicked as they are, to be in a place of not only dealing with them in a closer relation, but more importantly, ruling with them, leading with them, guiding and governing the people, the nation with them, putting in laws with them. No. Because at the end of the day, it said that they do what? What the latter end of that?
Which frameth mischief by a law.
Because everything they do is they frame mischief by a law. They have laws that create loopholes that continue to put them in a place to where it's acceptable for them to create major sins, major offenses. They get away with murder, literally. Guys be doing it all the time. So you have that. That's what we say, who lied. So now, in order to understand that, you have to understand history. You got to understand history, because what does Job 8 and 8 say? Go ahead and get that.
Job, chapter 8, verse 8.
Read 8 and 8 and 8 and 9.
For inquire, I pray thee, of the former age.
So inquire, investigate, explore, discover. He says, I pray thee of the former age, former being past, age being time, of the past time, read.
And prepare thyself to the search of their fathers.
To the search of their fathers, our forefathers, our history, how they did things. Read on.
Verse 9. For we are but of yesterday.
So meaning our time here is so short, it might as well be referenced to as of yesterday compared to all of the time in history that has passed on the face of this earth. We're but merely of yesterday. Read on.
For we are but of yesterday and know nothing.
And in comparison with all the knowledge and information out there, yet and still, we know nothing. We know nothing, especially as we ought to know. Read on.
Because our days upon earth are a shadow.
Right. So now from there, let's read this. So it says, a history of the new year, a move from March to January. Now that's very key. Because if January 1st was truly new year, it would never have been moved. So not only first we find out it was moved, but more importantly, who moved it? It was minding its own business. You ever been in your house, something right there, somebody just moves something, they feel it goes better over here. Just, why you touching my stuff? Where's my super suit? So, same thing. Go ahead and may you read that?
A history of the new year, a move from March to January. The celebration of the new year on January 1st is a relatively new phenomenon.
A relatively what?
A relatively new phenomenon.
So this isn't something that has been the norm throughout the ages, throughout history. It's a relatively new phenomenon. Read on.
The earliest recording of a New Year celebration is believed to have been in Mesopotamia, circa 2000 BC, and was celebrated around the time of the vernal equinox in mid-March.
So that's very key. It was celebrated around the time of the vernal equinox in mid-March. So even going back to Mesopotamia, that being a region around where the, pretty much think modern-day Iran, that area, all right? So think that region, that's what you're dealing with, all right? So also dealing with the area of the Fertile Crescent and Cradle of Civilization. So that particular area or region is what you're dealing with, okay? Let's continue reading on.
A variety of other dates tied to the seasons were also used by various ancient cultures. The Egyptians, Phoenicians, and Persians began their new year in the fall equinox, and the Greeks
And the who?
And the Greeks celebrated it on the winter solstice.
So that's what you have, the Greeks. And we know that's dealing with the modern-day Greeks, the Neo-Greeks, not the original Greeks, the Mycenaeans, Minoans, but dealing with the Greeks that we know to be the so-called white men. They celebrated the new year on the winter solstice, the dead of winter, like they still do. Read on.
The early Roman calendar designated March 1st as the new year. The calendar had just 10 months beginning with March.
So now, this is very key. Now I said, look, the early Roman calendar designated March 1st as the new year. The calendar had just 10 months beginning with March. So at first, they were trying to do things according to the original custom. But, read on.
The calendar had just 10 months beginning with March. That the new year once began with the month of March is still reflected in some of the names of the month.
So now the proof of this, as they say, the proof is in the pudding, literally. Because if you look at the names of the month, the true title history, origin is still indicated in the beginning of the actual or the root of the words. Read on.
September through December, our 9th through 12th months, were originally positioned as 7 through 10 months. Septem is Latin for 7, octo is 8, novum is 9, and decim is 10.
Absolutely, because you actually the one, I mean, it's very simple. Octagon, octopus, octo, means 8. But yet and still in the modern day calendar, we see that as the 10th month, right? So now the proof is in the pudding. And then even then, decimal, that's 10, 10th place. So now the proof is in the pudding. Now, let's continue. January joins the calendar.
January joins the calendar. The first time the new year was celebrated on January 1st was
the second time?
The first.
So the first time the new year was celebrated on January 1st was in where?
Was in Rome.
Was in where?
In Rome.
Rome. Once again, going back to Esau, going back to the so-called white man and what he felt was best. Not according to the Most High, not according to any astronomical observation, but according to what he wanted to, what he believed was first, and what ties into his own ideologies and beliefs that he's wrapped and packaged and delivered to you and so many of our people that we've got caught up in like a spider web. Read on.
Was celebrated on January 1st in Rome in 153 BC. In fact, the month of January did not even exist until around...
Wait, it didn't even what?
It didn't even exist.
Until when?
Until around 700 BC, when the second king of Rome, Numa Pontilius, added the month of January and February. The new year was moved from March to January because that was the beginning of the civil year, the month that the two newly elected Roman consuls, the highest officials in the Roman Republic, began their one-year tenure. But this new year date was not always strictly and widely observed, and the new year was still sometimes celebrated on March 1st.
So now, when this was instituted, when it's saying it wasn't always strictly and widely observed, because most people still had sense. They didn't just go ahead and change automatically because the white man said, hey, let's do this. It took time to transition. Not only that, but remember, even during the time of the Romans, we were under captivity under the Roman Empire. Our people weren't bending to the same laws and customs the same way in totality as we are as much today. You still had a great big split amongst Israelites who gave in to the ways of the Greeks, the ways of the Romans, the ways of the white men, and those who were heavily against. Even though we were still in captivity under them, we were still able to keep our laws and be self-contained and self-governed. All right? So we were still keeping those laws, and we still knew, and even other nations knew. It wasn't even a situation where all nations accepted it because they understood, no, we have sense in when the Creator made it to where this is the original new year, aside from the doctrine in which you're trying to push because of your kingdom, whatever it is you're trying to do. But, of course, when you're a world power, you have influence. Even look at Nation Today. Nation Today desire to be like America. They want to be especially like so-called white man. They want to dress like them. They want to look like them, everything. So they want his hair, his skin, his eyes. They want to be just like this man because he is in power, and people are attracted to power. So now let's go back. All right, so New Year was moved from March to January, and, but it was still sometimes celebrated March 1st. So let's get the next one.
In 46 BC, Julius Caesar introduced a new solar-based calendar that was a vast improvement on the ancient Roman calendar,
go ahead. Actually, read that last part.
Which was a lunar system that had become wildly inaccurate over the years.
Now, I object. So now, the lunar system is one that isn't necessarily inaccurate or becomes wildly inaccurate is because it takes more work involved. You have to pay attention to more things. It's not as easy as just, all right, me just counting some numbers and that's just it. It takes more work and more observation. So now, like it deals with in 46 BC, Julius Caesar introduced a new calendar, the Julian calendar. That's the calendar he introduced. So now, I want to get Deuteronomy 16:1, because this is the key thing the Most High says with this calendar that makes it a little different from the one Esau said, I'm going to try to do it better.
Deuteronomy chapter 16 and verse 1. Observe the month
Whoa. We read that too fast. It said, what was that first word?
Observe.
Observe. Observe means you have to do what? Let's get a definition. What does observe mean? I look up observe in the dictionary. What is it that I have to do? It says to see, watch, perceive, or notice. To regard with attention, especially so as to see or learn something. So now, I have to watch and observe to where Esau wanted to get in a place where I don't have to watch or observe as much. It can just be more autonomous. It can just operate in a way to where I have less responsibility. Because even to come now and, even us learning, because we're learning, doing the best we can, with even the new moon observation, we have to make sure, hey, we go out and observe. Our forefathers had moon watch. They had a calendar council, and amongst that calendar council, they had new moon spotters who would go out and make sure that they saw the new moon come in. And then by the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, report back to the calendar council. The calendar council can inform the rest of the leadership, the Sanhedrin and Lesser Sanhedrin, that, hey, it is officially the new moon this evening. And they had to go and send word. That's inconvenient. Because it's like, well, shoot, that's last minute. But yet and still, that's how we know. That's how we have to be sure. So we can't trim our ways in order to establish more convenience. We have to make sure we do thus saith the Most High. Because it takes that. You have to observe. So we have to do our best in order to make sure that we're doing that through the Spirit of the Most High and righteousness and in truth. And that's something that Esau doesn't care to do. He's done everything he can to make everything fixed for his convenience. All right? Even same thing with time. Time ain't literally 24 hours in a day. There's a time span. It can vary. It can fluctuate. So even the same thing. So-called white men, the same one who said there's 60 seconds in a minute. And there's 60 minutes in an hour. An hour takes as long as it took for on the sundial to pass. So all those things he changed and he fixed for his own comfortability to where we have it, of course, today. But all those things were loose and were able to fluctuate throughout not only month to month, but season to season and year to year. So, nevertheless, back to the slide. Let's continue on.
In 46 BC, Julius Caesar introduced a new solar-based calendar that was a vast improvement on the ancient Roman calendar. This was, which was a lunar system that had become wildly inaccurate over the years. The Julian calendar decreed that the new year would occur with January 1st.
No, but what did the Most High say? Read that again in Deuteronomy 16:1.
Observe the month of Abib.
The month of Abib is what we got to keep. Read.
Observe the month of Abib and keep the Passover unto the Lord thy God. For in the month Abib, the Lord thy God brought thee forth out of Egypt by night.
We'll get that definition of Abib later on in the lesson. Back to the slide.
The Julian calendar decreed that the new year would occur with January 1st. And within the Roman world.
Within whose world?
And within the Roman world.
Read.
January 1st became the consistently observed starts of the new year.
So that's something that they started officially with the Julian calendar. All right. So now let's see. During the Middle Ages, January 1st abolished. Continue.
In medieval, in medieval Europe, however, the celebrations accompanying the new year were considered pagan and unchristian-like.
I wonder why.
And in 567, the Council of Tours abolished January 1st as the beginning of the year. At various times and in various places throughout medieval Christian Europe, the new year was celebrated on December 25th, the birth of Jesus, March 1st, March 25th, the Feast of Annunciation, and Easter.
So now, even then, it was all over the place. You know, everybody was celebrating. You got 3 different New Years going on around here. But nevertheless, in the Feast of the Annunciation was the Annunciation that Mary was impregnated. You know, so that was the Feast of Annunciation that was celebrated, and that's more so Catholic tradition rather than Christian tradition historically. All right. So now, Gregorian calendar and January 1st restored. Let's get this because the Gregorian calendar is the one that is followed in modern day, this day and age. All right. So let's get that in 1582.
In 1582, the Gregorian calendar reform restored January 1st as New Year's Day. Although most Catholic countries adopted the Gregorian calendar almost immediately, it was only gradually adopted among Protestant countries.
So now, here you had it to where, so through Rome, and this is all through Esau, through Rome, okay, cool. They had January 1st, and it started to fall away. It started to fall out. But then you have Esau come back into power and say, look, we bringing it back. We bringing it back. And he did. He brought it back through the Gregorian calendar. So notice every time Esau get in power, he had to change something and find a new way to it's like, you know, something is here, ain't nothing wrong with it, but you still got to mess with it. That's Esau. You still got to find some, I know it's a circle, but it could be better if it was an octagon. I think it can use some edges. It's a circle. It worked fine. It keep rolling. I need more texture in the ride. Just make it an octagon. That's what he does. Let's go back to the slide.
Among the British, for example, did not adopt the reform calendar until 1752. Until then, the British Empire and their American colonies still celebrated the New Year in March.
There we go. So now, even then, there was a split because they still celebrated New Year in March because that was the New Year. Get Daniel 7:25. Yet and still, you always got to mess with something. The key thing he got to mess with is righteousness. You always got to tweak it into something wicked.
Daniel, chapter 7 and verse 25.
Go ahead and read it.
And he shall speak great words against the Most High.
So he, being the so-called white man, shall speak great words against the Most High, against his laws. All right? So all these great words, which it says he shall speak, is everything that encompasses wickedness. A man can be a woman. A woman can be a man. Homosexuality is okay. You know, God loves all people, all nations. If you just believe in your heart, all these things are great words against the Most High because it's against righteousness and against the scriptures that the Most High laid out. Read on.
And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High.
So the saints of the Israelites, and how has he worn us out? Through slavery, captivity. So shoot, working 9 to 5 in this day and age, he wearing us out. All right, oppression. All these things are wearing us out. All right, read on.
And think to change times and laws.
Now, why does it say think to change times and laws? Because he can't actually change the laws of the Most High. That he hasn't done that. But yet and still, his actions and what it is and how he tries to run his societies, he always thinks to change something the Most High has already set up that this is it. And he says, nah, I don't want to do it that way. This is what it is, thus saith the Lord. It's, nah, this is thus saith me. He always does that because he's adverse to righteousness. And that's why we say he's a devil. He's a deceiver. He's a liar. He's a slanderer. And that's what he does again and again through what it is that he puts out. All right? So now, with all of that in Daniel 7:25.
And they shall be given into his hand until a time and times and the dividing of times.
Right. So that's going to a different understanding as far as the dispensation of time would be given into his hands, which time has recently passed. All right. Let's continue on. All right. So next is the new year in the middle of the night. All right. Because that's the big. Everybody stays up. Well, not everybody, but you know, in the modern day society, everybody stays up to the middle of the night to bring in the new year. Waiting for that clock to strike midnight. But now, let's get something else from the Zondervan Van Campe Bible Dictionary. It says, this is from definition of calendar. During the Bible, period of time was reckoned solely on astronomical observations. Days, months, and years were determined by the sun and moon. All right, that's the key thing. So bottom line, there's no astronomical reason to celebrate New Year's Day on January 1st. There's nothing special about it. Absolutely nothing. It will be key if you can find something, all right, well, maybe, I don't know, it's always something, maybe a star aligns on this, or maybe there's a special moon phase, or maybe the sun, nope, nothing. It is strictly something Esau pulled out the crack of his, you know what, all right, that we follow. It's just, that's it. May you read that for me?
Bottom line, there is no astronomical reason to celebrate New Year's Day on January 1st. Instead, our modern New Year celebration stems from the ancient, two-faced,
Just like Esau.
Roman god Janus.
That's where it comes. That's the key thing, is to celebrate their gods and their deities. That's where it comes from. Read on.
For whom the month of January is also named.
Because January is named after their god Janus. That's the key deity they're celebrating, the two-faced God.
One face of Janus looked back into the past, and the other peered forward to the future.
Beautiful. So let's get Genesis 1 and 5. We're going to get a few scriptures.
Genesis chapter 1 and verse 5. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And the evening.
In the what?
And the evening.
Read.
And the morning were the first day.
So the evening and the morning were the first day. There's two parts to every day that makes a complete day. The evening being the nighttime portion of it, and then the morning being the day portion of it. So there's always two parts to the day. All right, evening and morning. Get Leviticus chapter 23 and verse 32.
Leviticus chapter 23 and verse 32.
Read it.
It shall be unto you a Sabbath of rest, and ye shall afflict your souls. In the 9th day of the month, at even, from even unto even, shall ye celebrate your Sabbath.
Of course, this is in one instance making reference to the Day of Atonement, but within that, it's letting us know that from even unto even shall you celebrate your Sabbath. Even unto even is what will constitute a full day, because half the day is evening, the other half is the daylight portion, and then it's back to evening, and you've completed a full day, a full cycle, all right? So that's what you have. Now, mind you, let's think about this, because you have this cycle thing going on here, day, night, there's two parts, right? All right, but now let's think about this. So now we have that, so let's think. When you're looking towards midnight, what exactly are you able to see astronomically to pinpoint and show you that, hey, a new day is about to start?
Easy. My clock.
Think about it. What do you have that's going on in the middle of the night that you can observe through the sun, moon, stars, that is an indicator that, all right, I know another day is about to start? What makes sense, which you can see, and that we often do see, is when you're observing the sun setting, going down, the day is ending and a new day is about to commence. The current day is ending and a new day is about to commence. Now, of course, some may have it, well, some may have thought in the morning when I see the sun come up, that starts a new day, and then, when the sun goes down, that day is over. Nah, it actually started that evening prior, and it starts actually when that sun sets. When that sun sets for the day, that day is ended and the new day begins. And then, guess what? When that sun comes up, that's just the second part of the day. And that day isn't officially over till that sun actually sets. So now, what did God say about the new year? Let's get that. We had enough of what Esau. Let's see what the Most High says. Let's get Genesis 8:22.
Genesis chapter 8 and verse 22. While the earth remaineth, seed time and harvest, and cold and heat, and summer and winter, and day and night shall not cease.
So we get a lot of things that it says, the Most High says, look, while the earth remaineth, and we know we're still living on earth, it says seed time and harvest, cold and heat, and summer and winter, and day and night shall not cease. So we're looking at seasonal changes that the Most High says will be there. These seasonal changes is part of what points you in the direction of what time of the year you're looking at and how I even know it's a new year. Let's get Leviticus 23:4.
Leviticus chapter 23
Because this is why seasons are important. Read.
and verse 4. These are the feasts of the Lord.
So these are the feasts of the Lord. Not
Even.
Halloween, not Thanksgiving, not Christmas, and not this bootleg New Year, but these are the feasts of the Lord. Read on.
Even holy convocations.
Even holy convocations. Holy meaning separated, dedicated to the Most High. Convocations being gatherings. All right? Read.
Which ye shall proclaim in their seasons.
Which you shall proclaim in their seasons. All right? And that's twofold. Both season in terms of winter, summer, spring, fall, but season just dignifies or is indicative of time in its proper time that you will keep these, all right? Which proper times are also subject to the actual seasons that we know, winter, fall, so on and so forth. So now, as we see, feasts are subject to certain seasons. So now let's get Exodus chapter 12 and verse 2, and then we're going to jump down and read verse 18. Let's get the book of Exodus. Let's read chapter 12 and verse 2, and then we're going to skip down and read verse 18.
Exodus 12 and verse 2. This month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you.
So the Most High said, look, this month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It should be the first month of the year to you. So we got to understand what month are we dealing with and what was going on that month.
In the first month, on the 14th day of the month, at even, ye shall eat unleavened bread until the 21st day.
We know we're eating unleavened bread in that month. And go ahead and read 18 from the start, from the top.
In the first month, on the 14th day of the month, at even, ye shall eat unleavened bread until the 21st day of the month at even.
So in that first month, we are keeping Passover, also synonymous in conjunction with that, the Feast of Unleavened Bread. All 7 days of the Feast of Unleavened Bread, but the very first day is what's considered the Passover because it's only that first day you're sacrificing that lamb, all right? So that's why it's that Passover, and also in commemoration of the death angel passing over the land of Egypt, destroying our enemies so that we could be saved, all right? Because in order for there to be deliverance, there got to be judgment and destruction. That's just the way it goes. It's intangible, all right? So now, nevertheless, let's continue on. Let's get Leviticus chapter 23 and verse 5.
Leviticus chapter 23 and verse 5. In the 14th day of the month at even is the Lord's Passover.
So on the 14th day of the first month at even is the Lord's Passover. So on the 14th day of the first month at even is the Lord's Passover. And of course, the 14th day of the first month at even would make it the 15th day. It's just giving you the exact time of when you would keep it to know as soon as that sun goes down, like earlier today. If it was the 14th day earlier today, as soon as sun went down at even, now you would begin the Lord's Passover. You start, roasting that lamb, everything right there at the beginning, not waiting till the sun come up the next day to do it. He said, nah, do it right then at that evening. That's when I want you to commemorate and begin your festivities and the celebration of the day. All right, so we would keep Passover. Deuteronomy 16:1. The very first month of the year, the feast you're keeping is Passover. You're keeping that in the spring season. Read that.
Deuteronomy chapter 16 and verse 1. Observe the month of Abib.
So now we're looking for the month of Abib, and that's what is going to be the indicator to keep Passover. Read.
And keep the Passover unto the Lord thy God. For in the month of Abib, the Lord thy God brought thee forth out of Egypt by night.
Now, with the same month, we came out of the land of Egypt. That's the same month that we were delivered. All right? So Passover is always synonymous with that deliverance. That's the key thing to remember. And, of course, understanding history and how the Most High works, no new thing under the sun, and the same thing that was, the same thing that shall be, there's a very extreme high chance in the very near future when we are delivered, it will probably be within that same month, that same time. That's just how the Most High works, all right? So now, with that, you have spring. That's what you're dealing with. Get Sirach 50 and 8. What are some of the signs of that spring season? Get Sirach chapter 50 and verse 8.
Ecclesiastic is chapter 50 and verse 8. And as the flower of roses in the spring of the year.
As the what?
As the flower of roses in the spring of the
what?
year. In the spring.
So you start to get flowers blooming in the spring of the year. That's one of the things that's showing you flowers of roses in the spring of the year. Read on.
As lilies by the river of waters, and as the branches of the frankincense tree in the time of summer.
These are indicators, poetic, and as the flower of roses in the spring of the year, as lilies by the rivers of waters, and as the branch of the frankincense tree in the time of summer. Let's get Songs of Solomon, chapter 2, verse 11 through 13, as another indicator, another sign that we know and what we're looking at in terms of seasons. People like, the Bible know what the Bible know about seasons and times and. Well, let's see. Song of Solomon, chapter 2, verse 11 through 13.
Songs of Solomon, chapter 2, verse 11. For lo, the winter is past.
So the winter is past. Read.
For lo, the winter is past. The rain is over and gone.
The rain is over. Because that's one of the things that's a sign of winter. It's raining more often than any other time in the year. You're not going to get as much rain in the springtime. You're not going to get as much rain in the summer or in the fall as you would in the winter season. That's when it's going to be raining more or snow more, depending on where you live. All right? Read on.
Verse 12, the flowers appear.
But after that season is gone, after winter is past, that what starts to appear?
The flowers appear.
Flowers start to appear. Because now we're moving into a different time. We're moving into a new season. Moving into spring. Read on.
The flowers appear on the earth. The time of the singing of birds is come.
The birds and the bees.
And the voice of the turtle is heard in our land. The fig tree putteth forth her green figs, and the vines with the tender grapes give a good smell.
Because that's very important. I was laughing. I was like, man, the voice of the turtle. Said, what the turtle sound like, huh? Actually, they hiss. I got a tortoise. They hiss. They make sounds. But Nevertheless, and it says the fig tree putteth forth her vine. So now even then you have fruit growing. That's what you're able to see. You're able to see fruit coming forth and starting to yield its strength, starting to see plants yield its strength and coming back because you're seeing life. That's what you're seeing. From the dead of winter, you're now having life in the spring. But in the dead of winter, there's nothing new still in the dead of winter because it's still the dead of winter. I know because I was making a drive, picking up my kids from Las Vegas from ex-wife, and I'm driving back, and it's like, man, the roads was starting to close and shut down because of all the snow. It was horrible. I took pictures like, golly, but it was all the snow, coming back. Because once again, and that was just what? That was a few days ago. So it's still dead. It's still dead of winter. It's right now, places still raining, snowing, blizzards, So there's no indicator that we're anywhere near springtime right now or that life is budding and coming forth. Everything's dead. So now, continue reading.
The fig tree putteth forth her green figs, and the vines with the tender grapes give a good smell. Arise, my love, my fair one, and come away.
Now, these are the things we should be seeing, and which you will see more so in the spring. You'll start seeing life, and I see it like every year because I have Venus flytraps, and they start budding and growing. Even my aloe vera plants start growing flowers and things of that nature. So you'll start seeing all those things come forth. Even basil leaves start growing flowers. I didn't even know basil grew flowers like that, but even then it starts growing flowers. So you can still have plants coming forth and see those things. You'll start seeing the signs that, okay, life is coming forth. And it's like clockwork. Nature knows when it's spring and when to start bringing forth life. It's natural. So now, going back to a bib and getting more from the Strong's Concordance, this is a bib, age 24 in the Greek 26. A bib, the first month of the Canaanite calendar. You may hear reference to the Canaanite calendar, lunar calendar, Hebrew calendar. It's all making reference to the same type of calendar, all right? So now, it says the first month of the Canaanite calendar equal to Nisan or Nisan. So March, April, depending on when that new moon will fall. So when that new moon will fall. So it says head of grain, already ripe but still soft, a bib, green ears of corn in the ear. So now you're seeing more of this coming forth. Green ear, plants coming forth, vegetation, life. Now, another word for a bib that you'll see is aviv, okay? So this is more so you're looking at the Amalek version. This is more so the later version. So now aviv, it says, as a boy's name is of Hebrew origin, and the meaning of aviv is springtime. Springtime is what you're looking at. Aviv was the original name of Nisan, the first month of the Hebrew calendar, which corresponds with March and April. It can also mean young grain, all right? And that's from thinkbabynames.com. So Abib, Aviv, synonymous, you're dealing with springtime, all right? The first month of the Hebrew calendar falling between March and April, depending on when that new moon comes in, all right? So now, let's get the way of the heathen. How we doing? All right, so now let's get the way of the heathen. Make some noise. So many New Year customs that we take for granted actually date from ancient times. In ancient Thailand, guns were fired to frighten off demons. In China, firecrackers routed the force of darkness. Today, Italians let their church bells peal, the Swiss beat drums, and the North Americans sound sirens and party horns to bid the old year farewell. So, many New Year's traditions surround food. Here are a few. In the southern U.S., black-eyed peas and pork foretell good fortune. That ain't true. Get Revelation 1 and 3. See our recipe for good luck, Hoppin' John. So now let's get Revelation 1 and 3, though.
Revelation chapter 1 and verse 3. Blessed is he that readeth, and they that hear the word of this prophecy.
So that's how you get blessed. Blessed is he that readeth, hear the words of the prophecy, and keep the thing that's written therein, because the time is at hand. So now, let's go back to the slide. So now it's in the southern years, black-eyed peas and pork foretell good fortune. So Mosai says it. That is a lie. All right. So Black Eyed Peas won't tell you anything about some good fortune, and definitely pork, which is unclean, won't do the same for you either. Now, eating any ring-shaped treat, such as a donut, symbolizes coming full circle and leads to good fortune. It's probably not going to lead to good fortune. Eat too many of them, it can lead to misfortune, but eating a donut ain't going to lead to no good fortune. So now, in Dutch homes, fritters called oliebollen are served. The Irish enjoy pastries called bannocks. The tradition of eating 12 grapes at midnight comes from Spain. In India and Pakistan, rice promises prosperity. Apples dipped in honey are a Rosh Hashanah tradition. In Swiss homes, dollops of whipped cream, symbolizing the richness of the year to come, are dropped on the floors and allowed to remain there. Now, see, some of these things are you just getting unsanitary. You know, just let somebody just dollop something on the floor in the kitchen, just leave it there. That's the ways of the nations. Drink a beverage. Although the pop of a champagne cork signals the arrival of the new year around the world, some countries have their own traditions. Wassail, the Gaelic term for good health, is served in some parts of England. Spiced hot pot is the Scottish version of wassail. It's customary to drink a glass or two at home before sharing with neighbors. In Holland, toasts are made with hot spiced wine. Give a gift. New Year's Day was once the time to swap presents. Gifts of gilded nuts or coins marked the start of the new year in Rome. Eggs, the symbol of fertility, were exchanged by the Persians. Early Egyptians traded earthenware flasks. In Scotland, coal, shortbread, and silverware are exchanged for good luck. Put your best foot forward, because we always hear that. Best foot forward in New Year's resolutions. In Scotland, the custom of first footing is an important part of the celebration of Hogmanay, or New Year's Eve day. This practice holds that the first foot to cross a threshold after midnight will predict the next year's fortune. Although the tradition varies, those deemed especially fortunate as first footers are new brides, new mothers, those who are tall and dark and handsome, or anyone born on January 1st. It's Sirach 5 and 7. Let's get this. Ecclesiastes chapter 5 and verse 7.
Ecclesiastes chapter 5 and verse 7.
The Most High says when it comes down to putting your best foot forward.
Make no tarrying to turn to the Lord.
So it said, look, make no tarrying to turn to the Lord. And if we actually look at the definition of tarry or to tarry, what do we find? It says to remain or stay as in a place, sojourn. To delay or be tardy in acting or starting or coming. Linger, to wait. So now it says, when it says make no tarry to turn to the Lord, don't linger to turn to the Lord. Don't wait to repent or get better. Don't delay when it comes down to repent or do better. But choose now to be better and to do better. That's something that it is that we have to do. All right? Read on.
Make no tarrying to turn to the Lord, and put not off from day to day.
So don't wait to the so-called new year to try to get it right. Put not off from day to day. Use today. And if for whatever reason you can't use today, use tomorrow. But don't keep putting it off. All right, the next day. Don't do it like you do the stuff in your garage, the stuff in the corner of your house. I'm going to get to it. I'm working on it. That'd be the number one excuse of those in modern-day Christianity. Not ancient Christianity, what it is that Christ taught, but modern-day Christianity, a.k.a. bootleg Christianity. That's what people do. I'm working on it. I'm going to get to it. Leave that sin in the corner that you don't never get to. You take your sweet time dragging on, but yet and still, what did the Most High say? Why it is important to immediately do the best that you can to work to change those actions, change those behaviors. Read on.
For suddenly.
For what?
For suddenly shall the wrath of the Lord come forth, and in thy security.
In thy security, what can happen?
Thou shalt be destroyed and perish in the day of vengeance.
You don't want that. None of us want that, but we just fall in the place of, feeling ourselves and not wanting to change, we just want to do what we want to do, and it's tough, it's tough. It's a hard pill to swallow. It's selfless service, self-sacrifice to be in a place to where, all right, I'm putting my will aside to do what the Most High wants me to do. It's a path of humility, because it's like, shoot, walk is hard. It gets tough. I mean, shoot, I'll be stressed and everything. I'll be tired, man. I'll be going through it, but got to keep going. Got to find the strength to keep going. That's why you have a community of brothers and sisters that you can lean on when things get hard, when it gets tough, and hopefully find solace in that, those who are also going through similar situations, because we like relatability, so sometimes I feel like you're isolated, but relatability can help make us feel better, to give us the strength we need to persevere through those challenges, and as Galatians 6:2 deals with, bearing each other's burdens, so helping each other out. So nevertheless, that's what we got to do, and helping each other get through those hard times, and being each other brothers to the keeper, to make sure you don't tarry. But don't wait no year, don't wait no 6 months, and all right, I'm gonna get it right here, and kind of marking this encounter. All right, that's when I'm gonna get it right. Do your best now, all right, because you don't know if that year down the line, 6 months down the line is promised, the Most High can pull your card anytime sooner, and woulda, coulda, shoulda is always too late. All right, so let's get back into it. So turn over a new leaf. So the dawn of a new year is an opportune time to take stock of your life. Jews who observe Rosh Hashanah make time for personal introspection and prayer, as well as visiting graves. Christian churches hold watch night services, a custom that began in 1770 at Old Street George's Methodist Church in Philadelphia. The practice of making New Year's resolutions said to have begun with the Babylonians as early as 2600 BC is another way to reflect on the past and plan ahead. So the way the Most High wants to reflect on the past is reflecting on your sins and errors and working to correct those errors of the past and moving better for a better future and actually a better present. So now, New Year's folklore. Some custom beliefs are simply passed down through the ages. Here are some of our favorite age-old sayings and proverbs. On New Year's Eve, kiss the person you hope to keep kissing. If New Year's Eve night wind blows south, it betokeneth warmth and growth. For abundance in New Year, fill your pockets and cupboards today. Get Jeremiah 10:3. Because all these things, no matter how profound or prolific or how smooth they may roll off the tongue, it's all vanity. It's all vain. It's all just the custom ways of the heathen. Get Jeremiah 10:3.
Jeremiah chapter 10 and verse 3. For the customs of the people are vain.
You mean they're valuable?
For the customs of the people are vain.
It's worthless. It has no true, no true value in comparison to what really the Most High is looking at as righteousness. It does nothing. Read on.
For the customs of the people are vain.
That's actually all I needed.
Okay.
So whether resolve to return borrowed farm equipment, as did the Babylonians, or drop a few pounds, or tapping into an ancient and powerful longing for a fresh start. And that's phenomenac.com. Now, widely observed New Year's symbols and traditions, resolutions. It is believed that the Babylonians were the first to make New Year's resolutions, and people all over the world have been breaking them ever since. Early Christians believed the first day of the new year should be spent reflecting on past mistakes and resolving to improve oneself in the new year. You know, the best time of the year to reflect on past mistakes would actually be Day of Atonement, when you're actually looking at all of your sins and how you lived and what you should do better. That's the best time to reflect. That's the day, because that's the day you're supposed to be sacrificing yourself, your flesh, by fasting, humbling your soul to say, you know what, I didn't do as well in these areas. I need to do better, and looking forward to do better than going into not only that next day, but that, that next time, that next phase of your life, that hopefully you can do better over the course of that next year by the time you get to the next Day of Atonement, all right? And each part of the year as we go through it represents different times. Like if you look at Day of Atonement, we keep that, you know, and then we also, after Day of Atonement, we're cleaning out our tabernacles, you know, then we're rededicating ourselves, you know, back to the Most High. It's a process and it's a seasonal thing that we're looking at cleansing ourselves and getting ourselves back on track and ready for the Most High, all right? So getting back on track and ready for that deliverance come Passover, all right? Let's get on. Did I read all that? Yep. The early Christians believe the first day of the new year should be spent reflecting on past mistakes and resolving to improve oneself in the new year. All right, yeah, I did that. All right, so fireworks. Noise making and fireworks on New Year's Eve is believed to have originated in ancient times, when noise and fire were thought to dispel evil spirits and bring good luck. The Chinese are credited with inventing fireworks and used them to spectacular effect on their New Year's celebrations. So now let's get into this part, the gods of wood and stone, all right? What deities? Because as you did with Happy New Year, what does Happy New Year have to do with this other deity we see on the right, who we see as the Grim Reaper in this day and age, but it all ties in together. Let's see. Woo! The truth behind New Year's. Tag team.
The truth behind New Year's. Many will be bringing in the so-called New Year, which is kept in the dead of winter. But let us look deeper into this holiday and bring out some of the history as well as pagan roots and customs associated with this day. As you may or may not have known, many gods are worshipped on this day, but in reality, it is but a couple of so-called gods that over time have evolved into other gods, which is usually the case with many gods throughout history. When you research where the name January comes from, you will find Januarius, also known as January, named after Janus or Ionis, the Roman god of doors and gates and beginnings and endings. This god is also symbolically known as the god of change and transitions, depicted with a face looking into the future and the face looking into the past.
Beautiful. So now, that's all it is. So this is one depiction of Janus, so-called god of beginnings and endings. All right, doors and gates. Let's get from the Encyclopedia Britannica. Janus. In Roman religion, the animistic spirit of doorways, Janue, and archways, Jani. Janus, some scholars regard Janus as the god of all beginnings and believe that his association with doorways is derivative. He was invoked as the first of any gods in irregular liturgies. The beginning of the day, month, and year, both calendrical and agricultural, were sacred to him. The month of January is named for him, and his festival took place on January 9th, the Agnoium. There were several important temples erected to Janus, and it is assumed that there was also an early cult on the Janiculum, which the ancients took to mean the city of Janus. So now you're seeing everything really regarding January is dedicated to this god. And of course, it is with him that they celebrate the new year, looking into the future and looking into the past. The worship of Janus traditionally dated back to Romulus, in a period even before the actual founding of the city of Rome. Because remember, Rome was founded by Remus and Romulus. They were brothers said to be so fierce, so even wicked, that they were actually nursed by a wolf, she-wolf, called Juna Lupa, all right? So, in which you'll learn more about her later when I deal with other folly days, so later in the year. So now, there were many Janni ceremonial gateways in Rome. These were usually freestanding structures that were used for symbolically auspicious entrances or exits. Particularly, superstition was attached to the departure of a Roman army, for which they were lucky and unlucky ways to march through a Janus. So there were lucky and unlucky ways to go through a doorway. So, nevertheless,
The most famous Janus in Rome was the Janus Geminis, which was actually a shrine of Janus at the north side of the Forum. It was a simple rectangular bronze structure with double doors at each end. Traditionally, the doors of this shrine were left open in time of war and were kept closed when Rome was at peace. According to the Roman historian Livy, the gates were the gates were closed only twice in all the long period between Numa Pompilius, 7th century BC, and Augustus, 1st century BC. Janus was represented by a double-faced head, and he was represented in art either with or without a beard. Occasionally, he was depicted as four-faced, as the spirit of the four-way arc.
So now, this is once again those images in which they're depicting and referencing. So here it is, you see an image of one with the beard and also what seems to be an older or more aged man, and then one without a beard being and representing what seems to be a more younger man. So, of course, both these images here, I guess one looking into the past should be the more so aged man. The one looking into the future should be the younger man, theoretically. But heck, who knows, because these images are facing both directions. So, all right, but nevertheless, so who is the God of beginning and endings? So, actually, God, period. But Revelation 1 and 8. Let's get that.
Revelation chapter 1 and verse 8. I am Alpha and Omega.
Most High says, I am Alpha and Omega. I am the beginning and the ending. Read on.
The beginning and the ending, saith the Lord, which is, and which was, and which is to come, the Almighty.
So, Rolling Scripts has it. It is not Janus. All right. So it is Yahweh. He's the beginning. He is the ending. All right. I can get that. Let's get. I'm not going to read all this, but get Ecclesiastes chapter 3. We are just going to read verse 1 and 2.
Ecclesiastes chapter 3 and verse 1. To everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under the heaven. A time to be born, and a time to die. A time to plant, and a time to pluck up that which is planted.
Because they, in the world, try to deal with Father Time. Father Time is the personification of time as an old man, usually in a white robe, having a white beard, and carrying a scythe. But, lo and behold, many are not aware, when they think of the Grim Reaper, they don't think of Father Time, even though they're the same. Because even then, what many may have watched in the world or growing up, so Rudolph's Shiny New Year, you have Father Time, and notice what he's carrying. He's carrying that scythe, because this Father Time is the Grim Reaper. Although there are some who may say, well, he isn't the Grim Reaper is his son. So either way you deal with it. So now it still comes from Kronos. So Kronos was the king of the Titans and the god of time. In particular, time when viewed as a destructive, all-devouring force. It's also through Kronos that you get the term like chronograph and chronology. All right, so it's going back to the god Kronos, Greek god. He ruled the cosmos during the Golden Age after castrating and deposing his father Uranus, Sky, in fear of a prophecy that he would in turn be overthrown by his own son, which was Zeus, according to Greek mythology. Kronos swallowed each of his children as they were born. Rhea managed to save the youngest, Zeus, by hiding him away on the island of Crete, and fed Kronos a stone wrapped in swaddling clothes. The god grew up, forced Kronos to disgorge his swallowed offspring, and led the Olympians in a 10-year war against the Titans, driving them in defeat into the pit of Tartarus. So now, this is the depiction of Kronos. Notice a striking resemblance of Kronos to Father Time and the Grim Reaper as well. But this is Kronos. All right, both of these depictions here, to the left and to the right, are both Kronos. So on the right, you can see Kronos he's about to take the baby, Zeus, which is, one of his children, which he thinks is his child, but it's really a stone. So that's wrapped up to make it seem like his child, but he's holding that reed. And then, of course, on the left, you see Kronos standing there with an hourglass and, of course, with a scythe. And we'll get more into the, also dealing with the babies and the children, which you see depicted on his leg, holding his leg. All right, just note that. Because likewise, you'll deal with even right here. Notice, once again, Father Time with hourglass, scythe, and notice there is a young child there, just like we see here, which we'll get into also why. Notice here, once again, Father Time a little darker, but you still see the clock, the scythe, and you still see the passing time and still see a child. Because Father Time was said to eat children, just like Chrono. That's where it comes from. He was said to eat children. Now, same depiction, all coming together, boomerang. It's all coming back to you. Now, nevertheless, the one who's truly in charge of time is the Most High. Deuteronomy 33 and 27, because everything has a time, but the Most High, he is eternal. Let's get Deuteronomy 33 and 27.
Deuteronomy chapter 33, verse 27. The eternal God.
The what God?
The eternal God is thy refuge, and underneath are the everlasting arms, and he shall thrust out the enemy from before thee, and shall say, destroy them.
So now, once again, and this is the case that we see here in the upper left, this particular child is someone different that we're going to get into next. But nevertheless, Father Time, Grim Reaper, Father Time, Kronos, whichever name, one of them names you want to use, it's all the same deity. All right? It's all the same. So now, Baby New Year ain't who you think either. All right? The jig is up because he was also in the Rudolph thing too. But this whole baby right here, that ain't no baby. That's a grown man. Grown man with a diaper on. All right? That's another God celebrated during the. That's why they drink and get drunk for New Year, because this is the God they're celebrating. Dionysus. He was also in Hercules. Some people notice him, throwing some champagne on him. But Dionysus, he's always usually one in the background, the god of drinks and the god of wine. That's who he is. All right, so go ahead and read that.
Dionysus, also spelled Dionysos, also called Bacchus, or in Rome, Liber Pater. In Greco-Roman religion, a nature god of fruitfulness and vegetation, especially known as a god of wine and ecstasy. The occurrence of his name on a Linear B tablet, 13th century BCE, shows that he was already worshipped in the Mycenaean period. Mycenaean period.
So that goes back to, remember I said the original, Greeks, Roman thing, the Mycenaeans and Minoans. That's who you're dealing with, all right? They were Japhetic. Read on.
Although it is not known where his cult originated, in all the legends of his cult, he is depicted as having foreign origins. Dionysus was the son of Zeus and Semele, a daughter of Cadmus, king of Thebes.
So now, let's get some laws as it concerns drinking. Let's get Ecclesiasticus, the book of Sirach, chapter 31, verse 27 through 28.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 31 and verse 27. Wine is as good as life to a man.
Wine is as good as life to a man.
If it be drunk moderately.
If it be drunk moderately. All right. Read.
What life is then to a man without wine?
This is what life then is a man without wine.
For it was made to make men glad.
It was made to make men glad. So many, you do have many of those in modern day Christianity, bootleg Christianity, who may be offended at those who may drink. Maybe it's something about, but it's no problem. Even Christ drunk wine. And it's all right to drink whatever it is that may float your boat. Tequila, Hennessy, whatever it is that may float your boat. as long as you drink it moderately. Read on.
Verse 28, wine measurably drunk and in season.
So measurably drunk, it ain't a situation where it just ain't no cap. It's not. There's a cap, you know, but being in a place and also and in season, in its proper time. It ain't time to drink all day, every day. So it ain't always a turn up. But read on.
Bringeth gladness of the heart and cheerfulness of the mind.
Because, shoot, measure drunk and in season, it makes you happy. Puts you in a good mood. Isaiah 5 and 11.
Isaiah chapter 5 and verse 11.
Go ahead, read.
Woe unto them that rise up early in the morning.
So it says, woe or destruction unto them that rise up early in the morning. Read.
That they may follow strong drink.
They may start drinking early. Because we all either know someone like that, got someone in the family like that, wake up early, start drinking, and then, read on.
That continue until night, till wine inflame them.
That continue until night. So you're not supposed to be a functioning alcoholic. Ain't supposed to be drinking all day. You know, people at work hiding they be can of soda, but it really be beer and everything. Nah, I ain't supposed to be doing that, all right? Or those waking up early, functioning alcoholic, the whole nine, they ain't supposed to be doing that. Get Tobit 4 and 15. Let's get the book of Tobit, chapter 4 and verse 15.
Tobit chapter 4, verse 15. Do that to no man which thou hatest.
So, of course, the old saying we all learn in school, do that to no man which thou hatest. Treat others the way you want to be treated. Read on.
Do that to no man which thou hatest. Drink not wine to make thee drunken.
It says, I drink not wine to make thee drunken. Because a lot of people, they drink with the objective to get drunk.
Tonight.
Yeah, to die, get turned up and, everything else. But no, that's not supposed to be objective. The objective is, all right, let me drink a little bit, get a little loose, but a little loose. So nowadays people be trying to get wasted.
Neither let drunkenness go with thee in thy journey.
So neither let drunkenness go with thee in thy journey. So you shouldn't be in a place where you may have had too much to drink. You're trying to go on a trip somewhere. You're trying to go on a drive. Even you're trying to walk too far. No, stay in your place. Let the alcohol pass from you and then be in a place, or have someone else, take you where you need to go. Don't you put yourself in a place to where you're going on a journey and you ain't got your wits about you. All right, so now, once again, hope this lesson will edify. Remember to do your own due diligence, research things for yourself, and get 2 Timothy 2:15.
2 Timothy. 2 Timothy chapter 2 and verse 15. Study to show thyself approved unto the Most High, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth.
That's what we want to do. We want to make sure we study, show ourselves approved. Don't just believe it because we say it, preach it, teach it. But make sure you go back, do your own research, verify these things for yourself because you're held accountable for your own salvation. But we're here as guides, teachers, leaders, mentors to help you along your journey and with that process, all right? So in case I missed anything, there is this video. Let's go ahead and see if we can get the audio playing good with this.
That over the last 4,000 years, New Year's wasn't always celebrated on the 1st of January. The original New Year's celebration, the massive Babylonian religious festival of Akitu, was held every year around the spring equinox. In 46 BC, Julius Caesar introduced a new calendar that was synced to the sun instead of the moon, officially moving New Year's celebrations from March 1st to January 1st. In the Middle Ages, the Christian Church did away with many of the ancient Roman festivals because of their pagan roots. As a result, New Year's was celebrated on various dates throughout medieval Europe. Finally, in 1582, Pope Gregory XIII overhauled the calendar system again. The Gregorian calendar, which we still use today, restored January 1st as New Year's Day. Even today, some countries and cultures follow a lunar, not solar calendar. and hold their New Year's celebrations at different times of the year. Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year, and the first day of Muharram, the start of the Islamic calendar year, are both celebrated in the fall. And the Chinese New Year, which lasts for a whole month, begins in late January or early February. New Year's traditions also vary from country to country. In Spain, people eat 12 grapes in the seconds leading up to midnight. Other cultures also eat special foods for New Year's. Greeks eat ring-shaped cakes with silver or gold coins baked inside. In China, a dumpling represents hope for an auspicious New Year. And in Japan, long buckwheat noodles symbolize long life. Since 1904, crowds have packed New York's Times Square for one of the most famous New Year's traditions of all, the dropping of the ball. At midnight, hundreds of thousands of people enjoy the mesmerizing kaleidoscopic effect with nearly 16 million vivid colors and billions of patterns. From champagne and fireworks to resolutions and fresh starts, New Year's has always been many things to many people, and it has a long and colorful history that we bet you didn't know.
Next time I should probably lead with that, huh? Cut half the lesson out. All right, so nevertheless, that's good. So, check on learning. So, of course, what God is named after January? Janus. All right, so what is the name of the god of drinks and wine? Dionysus. And in what season does the new year begin? Good, spring. All right, so any questions? No questions? We're all good? All right, well, beautiful, Israel. Well, hopefully, Most High willing, the lesson was edifying. You got something from it. Of course, any question, anything comes up, you could definitely email us at reply@truenation.org. And myself or, this brother, usually be the ones to get back to you. If not, one of the other leaders to get back to you in a timely manner. So mostly, we hope you don't celebrate, New Year's in the time of January, and that you celebrate that New Year in the time of March, April, as thus saith the Most High. And if you did celebrate this past New Year, we hope you don't celebrate another one at the time of January, all right? So with that being said, we say shalom and get ready for any announcements, all right?